One day, the Empress Lei Zu sat in her garden beneath the mulberry trees. Outside the palace walls, she could hear the noises of trading caravans, the sound of camel hooves on stone, and the cries of street merchants selling candy, jewelry, and tea. But Lei Zu's walled garden was quiet and peaceful. The breeze moved the leaves of the mulberry trees above her. Min-Ray, she called to her maid. Bring my lunch out here. I will eat in the garden today. Soon Min-Ray brought out the Empress's favorite meal, turtle meat with garlic and ginger, candied fruit, rice, and a pot of steaming, fragrant tea. Lei Zu breathed in the rich smell of the tea as she poured it into her cup. She lifted the cup to her mouth. Something splashed into it right in front of her nose. She looked down into her cup. There, floating in a hot water, was something small and round and white. She glanced up into the branches of the mulberry tree. Hundreds of little white cocoons were dangling just over her head, the cocoons of the silkworm. Inside the cocoons, the silkworms were changing into moths. Soon they would chew through the cocoons and fly away. Look, Min-Lay, she said, a silkworm cocoon fell right into my tea. Let me get you a fresh cup, Empress Lei Zu, the maid offered. Wait, Lei Zu said. She carefully lifted the cocoon out of her cup. It seemed to be made from a thin, bright thread wrapped 100,000 times around the silkworm midden. The hot water had begun to unravel it. Lei Zu pulled gently at the end of the thread and drew it out longer and longer and longer. She rose from her seat and walked through her garden, trailing the thread behind her. It was so long that she circled the garden with it a dozen times. The thread was so light that it floated on the wind, and it shone in the sun like melting silver. If only I could weave this into clothes, Lei Zu marveled. What a loaf I could make for my husband, the emperor. But it's too thin to weave, Min-Ray said. Pick me another cocoon, Min-Ray, the empress said. We will unravel another thread. All afternoon, the empress and her maid unraveled the fine, shining threads from the silkworm cocoons. They twisted the thread together until they were as thick as a thread of cotton. And then the empress called her dressmaker. Can you weave a cloth from these threads? She asked. I have never seen thread like this, the dressmaker exclaimed. They are as fine as hairs, but as soft as the petal of a flower. She took the threads away and wove them into a cloth that shone like butter in the sunshine. And from that cloth, Lei Zu made a robe for her husband, the emperor. When he saw it, he gasped with wonder. From now on, he said, we will call this silk. The secret of making this wonderful clothes must never leave the palace. Only the royal family can know this treasure was yielded by the silkworm cocoons. So from then on, Lei Zu and her court made the wonderful clothes called silk. They fed the silkworms on trays of mulberry leaves, waited until the worms wove their cocoons, and then carefully unraveled the cocoons for their precious threads of silk. Soon China became famous for its silk, the clothes that no one else in the world knew how to make.
Lei Zu. Lei Zu ate lunch outside, and something fell down her cup. So that something flashed. So she So she
When
She-
something fell into your cup, what do you do? What do you feel?
surprised.
Surprised. So Li Ju was surprised. Then
and
you look at the cup, right? And you figure out what it was. And what was it?
it is a bug.
It's not
Another
a bug. It has a special name. It starts with C.
Cocoons.
Yes, cocoons. And how does it look like?
Very splashy.
Splash means when you put your foot onto the water, that means splash. The water comes out over the place. It is really shiny. Shiny. Yeah, it was really. What did you want to make out of it?
She made of clothes.
Yeah, because it was really
Really
shiny. And whom does she want to make the clothes for? Her husband, the king. Mhm. And then the king named this clothes. What was it? What was the name of it?
silk.
Silk. Mhm. Okay, so you can write that on your